Moving on to a more difficult problem, you're going to have one radical still. No variables will be on the outside. However, we do have a rational exponent that we need to deal with. So we're going to solve for x in the following. It doesn't look like it, but it is a radical equation. I'll show you where. Hopefully you'll see where. All right, so we are going to start with dividing out the 3, getting rid of our 3. So get rid of your 3, get rid of your 3. That's going to give us x plus 1 to the 2/3 power equals 4. Now it's time for us to get rid of the 2/3. So in order to do that, we're going to rewrite it as something that we've already learned. The cube root of x plus 1 quantity squared. So that is why we had to study chapter 6, section 4. Here's your index of 3. Here's your exponent of 2. It came from this and this. Go back and look at 6.4 if you feel like you need help rewriting that. Now it's time for us to get rid of the cube root. That's like the outermost shell of all of it. I'm going to change colors. In order to get rid of a cube root, we have to cube both sides. That is going to give us, so I want you to visually see this cube root goes away with this cube, and that's going to give us x plus 1 to the 2nd power, and that's going to equal 64. 4 to the 3rd power is 64. Now it's time to get rid of the little squared. Well, what undoes a squared? A square root. You did this in completing the square in chapter 4. In 4-6, we learned how to get rid of that squared. So when you take the square root, watch this. So you see the square root is going to cancel this, and you get x plus 1, but here's the trick. I wonder if any of you thought about this. You don't just get 8, you get positive and negative 8. Again, if you need to go back to chapter 4 and section 6 to review that, please do. Now it's time to solve for x, and that's going to happen twice. So we have x plus 1 equaling a positive 8 and x plus 1 equaling a negative 8. Again, and even that, we revisited that in chapter 6, section 1. When you're solving for x and you're taking a square root or an even root, you have to use plus and minus. Subtracting 1 from both sides on all your, like 2 problems here, you get x equals 7 and x equals negative 9. We do have to check both of those back in. So I rewrote your equation over here. We're going to check in 7 here for x. And you can just type this in your calculator if you want to. I'm just going to do it the real way. I'm going to like kind of evaluate it like this. Let's see. So it's going to be 3 times the cube root of 8. The cube root of 8 is 2, and then 2 squared is 4. So it's really 3 times 4, which is 12. And sure enough, we get the 12 we wanted. If you don't understand that, you can always just use your calculator. And what was my other number? Negative 9? So we got to make sure that negative 9 also works, that it is not extraneous. We want to get 12 again. So it's going to be 3 times negative 8 to the 2/3. All right, so negative 8, the cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. I learned that. We learned that back in the previous chapter, earlier in this chapter. And then negative 2 squared is a positive 4, so this is really 3 times 4 is 12. Yep, it works. So both of these answers are legit answers, 7 and negative 9.